Yo, what's going on, guys? And sadly, Fred VanVleet has torn his ACL. And what we're hearing is that one thing you guys have to understand is that, according to Keith Smith, Fred VanVleet has an implied no trade clause because he's on a 2-year deal with a player option for the 2026 to 27 season. He'll have his bird rights if he opts out. VanVleet did not waive that no trade clause when he re signed with Houston this offseason. And I do believe that if you look at the current situation, they should be able to squeeze about a $12.5 million disabled player exception, as assuming that they don't trade Fred VanVleet, because I don't think that that's their goal. But from my understanding, the Rockets can file a disabled player exception, a DPA, for Fred VanVleet if they were not to trade him. As if they were to trade him, they probably would dump his salary and want to take significantly less salary back. So you'd be looking at like the Brooklyn Nets and hoping that they could get, Haywood Highsmith or somebody in exchange for Fred VanVleet if they were trying to do that. As Fred VanVleet is out for the season, likely due to the torn ACL, him being filed for a disabled player exception would be valued at $14.1 million. The Rockets cannot currently use it to sign a free agent if they were granted it, because they are just $1.25 million below the first salary apron. Using the DPE would push them over the hard cap of the first apron, preventing them from adding salary at this time. And if you guys didn't know, disabled player exception is a mechanicism in the NBA that allows a team to add a player to the roster when a significant player on the team suffers a season-ending injury. The value of the exception is lesser of the average salary of the injury player, or the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, whichever is lower. And I think when we look at this team, it's obvious to talk about who could they bring in, because with Mr. Fred VanVleet having suffered a torn ACL during a voluntary team minicamp in the Bahamas that's requiring surgery this week, the 31-year-old averaged just under 18 points and 8 assists last year, while anchoring a top 10 defense and a team that went on a playoff push. They're right now going to have to rely on second-year player Reed Sheppard and third-year Thompson for increased point guard responsibilities, as well as Aaron Holiday being on the team. But yeah, let's talk about some guys that they can bring in. So, big one, everybody knows, Russell Westbrook played last year with the Denver Nuggets, and he's still a strong playmaker, 6 assists a game last year, who can control pace and defend better, bigger guards. His downhill pressure would complement Shagun and shooters like Kevin Durant. Obviously, the concern, turnovers and shot selection, but as a 1-year veteran stopgap, he'd provide leadership and ball handling and probably the highest level. He's just like 36, 37 at this point. Ben Simmons, point guard, Brooklyn, at 6'10". He brings elite vision and can cover defensively across positions. He can play forward, he can play center, he can play point guard. His 6 assists a game in limited minutes shows he still has that floor general skills. His scoring is almost non-existent now. Would need the Rockets shooters like Durant, Sheppard, Smith, and others to carry the spacing. Cameron Payne, he's a quick, shifty guard who can run the second unit, knock down threes, 36% last year, set up teammates, about 3 assists in 16 minutes. Now, he's better suited as a backup, and he would be someone that there would be concerns about inconsistency, but could help bridge the gap if Thompson struggles with turnovers or shooting. Some other guys would be, Delano Bannon, someone, he's 6'9". He has secondary playmaking, 2.5 assists, can score, a little bit of a developmental upswing. Monty Morris, he's a safe caretaker, career 4 assists per game, low turnover rate. He's struggled to score over the last few years. Nothing dynamic, but steady. DeAnthony Milton is supposedly going to sign with the Warriors, but he's someone who's got some defensive ability. He's more of a combo guard than a point guard, but he's, average 3 assists. He could start alongside Sheppard and Thompson for balance. I think the other guys that you're looking at The only other guys that we could bring up are Markelle Fultz, Corey Joseph, Reggie Jackson, Patty Mills, and Isaiah Thomas, which each of them, I think they're capable of bringing, some emergency depth than true Fred VanVleet replacements. And again, I've said I think Westbrook is probably the best if you want a veteran stopgap with leadership and, proven ability to fill the void. I think Cameron Payne's if you want a shooter, and Ben Simmons if you want to gamble on upside and have this unique playmaker. Now, we talked about Markelle Fultz, Corey Joseph, Reggie Jackson, Patty Mills, and Isaiah Thomas being the other guys. Reggie Jackson's guy who's kind of like a Cameron Payne, backup point guard, second unit scorer. He's a shot creating combo guard, point guard. I would say like point guard. He's somewhat of a streaky shooter, a decent passer with Houston's young guards. And then, Reed Sheppard. I think this team can really, and like I know they do. We haven't really talked about him, but Aaron Holiday, he's someone who's on this team. Can't forget about him. So he's someone that's also going to be there. So going guard by committee with Sheppard, Amanda Holiday. Reggie brings a guy who could bring some veteran scoring punch like Cameron Payne. Reggie could run the pick and roll with Şengün or second unit bigs, Capella or Adams. The defense is shaky, but scoring insurance is useful when Durant and others sit. Markelle Fultz, kind of a reclamation project, bench guard. He's a slasher, facilitator, defensive guard. His perimeter shooting is the problem. His defense and passing fits Ime Udoka's style, but the shooting overlap with Amen Thompson makes spacing tough. Would need to run lineups with Sheppard, Durant, Jabari, and other shooters like Aaron Holiday to maximize the spacing around him. Corey Joseph's a veteran locker room piece, a steady ball handler, low usage decision maker, could serve as an emergency floor general to call him young lineups. Doesn't move the needle on offense or defense at this stage, but won't hurt developmental minutes. Patty Mills can play the point guard or shooting guard. He's a locker room guy. He's, I believe, had prior relationship with Ime Udoka in San Antonio. I don't think they overlapped in Brooklyn, but he's a spot-up shooter, veteran leader, more of a culture fit than an on-court solution. Could help mentor Sheppard and Holiday, provide occasional shooting bursts, but really no longer a full-time rotation guard. Isaiah Thompson would be just a veteran flyer, the undersized scoring guard, provides no defense. He doesn't fit Houston's defense-first identity at best. A microwave scorer, garbage time, more of a nostalgic signing than a real rotation fix. I think if you're looking for just a rotation guy, Cameron Payne or Reggie Jackson, a bench scorer, shot creator. Defense, we've said it before, I think you're looking at either Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, or Markelle Fultz. They all fit Udoka's scheme, but they hurt spacing. And then I think Corey Joseph and Patty Mills are kind of like the locker room guys. And if Houston's in this win now mode with Durant and Şengün, I think if they want a sneaky upside guy, it's Markelle Fultz. Reggie Jackson or Cameron Payne gives them the instant bench offense in a committee approach. Because if we go back to the other options, with Russell Westbrook being a guy who can actually play starting point guard heavy minutes, veteran off the bench. He's a slashing, playmaking, downhill, rim attacking, energy defender who will open up the floor for Durant, Jabari, Reed Sheppard, and whoever else. With his rim pressure, his rebounding helps the team already strong inside with Şengün, Capella, Adams. The spacing issues. And then Thompson can thrive off of Russell Westbrook's driving kicks, but this team could also have their offense stagnate at times. Now, D'Anthony Melton's, he's a 3-and-D combo guard with some, secondary creation, strong perimeter defender that Ime Udoka would like. Offensively, he doesn't need the ball much, but they need someone who can create for others. He's guy's more of a complimentary passer. We talked about Cameron Payne being like a stabilizer, similar to Reggie Jackson, can run the offense when Amen is off the floor, especially in units with shooters. Ben Simmons is that jumbo playmaker, lead defender. Defensively, Simmons, Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith could form a devastating switchable defensive group. Offensively, he overlaps weaknesses with Amen Thompson and he works best if he's surrounded by Durant, Tyrese, and Jabari Smith, Reed Sheppard, and other shooters. It's a high risk but a high reward fit. I do think the lineup Banton just doesn't. It's just I don't think. Look, I think Westbrook is the best fit, and I think we all know that.